everything worthwhile, it's uphill. I'm here in Romania, in my home city where I grew up and where I studied, and I just yesterday drove by a slope. It's quite steep slope, but that was the slope where I started to learn how to take off in a car while driving from a slope, right? So you have to be very careful with the pedals, with the clutch, and with the accelerator for you to be able to take off. And I remember how steep that slope looked like for me. It was really, really steep. It was like a very difficult situation. I needed to learn. I needed to go through it for me to learn it. So I passed, the driving exam and I take my license. But now looking back, so I'm now 41 and that was when I was 18, right? So it's about 20 something years later. That slope doesn't look that steep anymore. I drove there yesterday and it doesn't look that steep anymore. And the reason why it doesn't look that steep anymore, because I was driving and I drove on steeper slopes than that one. But for me to see that slope not as difficult as I saw it 23 years ago, I went through different experiences. I improved myself. I continuously, hone my driving skill, but also my, coaching and leadership skills. So if you are dealing today, if you are on a, steep, uphill road, and you feel this is really steep, and I don't know if I can make it. I don't know if I can take off on this steep slope. If I stop, I'm not sure if we can take off from here. Let me tell you what. A few years later, 6 months later, 1, 2, 3 years later, you're gonna look back at that slope and it's not gonna feel that steep anymore. The reason why is because you improved. But for you to get to the next level in your life, in your career, you have to go to that steep slope. So if you are on a steep slope today, keep at it. Get better at it. Overcome that slope, because when you look back years later, you're gonna see it was not that big of a deal, because between now and then you would have, drove on even steeper slopes, and you would have overcome even bigger challenges than that, and look back and say, well, that was not really as difficult as we thought it was. But because sometimes we don't see ourselves as being wrestlers to be able to overcome something, it seems to be, big, and sometimes we give up. So don't give up. Keep at it. Keep climbing the hill. And one day you're gonna be on the other side and say, oh, okay, it was not that difficult. It was not that bad.